The monopoly of suffering. I ask myself, why is it that only some people suffer? Why are only some selected from the ranks of normal people and put on the torture rack? Some religions maintain that God is trying us through suffering, or that we expiate evil and unbelief through it. If such an explanation can satisfy the religious men, it is not sufficient for anyone who notices that suffering is arbitrary and unjust. Because the innocent often suffer most, there is no valid justification for suffering. Suffering has no hierarchy of values. The most interesting aspect of suffering is the sufferer's belief in its absoluteness. He believes he has a monopoly on suffering. I think that I alone suffer, that I alone have the right to suffer, although I also realize that there are modalities of suffering more terrible than mine. Pieces of flesh falling from the bones, the body crumbling under one's very eyes, monstrous, criminal, shameful sufferings. One asks oneself, how can this be? And if it be, how can one still speak of finality and utter such old wives' tales? Suffering moves me so much that I lose all my courage. I lose heart because I do not understand why there is suffering in the world. Its origin in life's bestiality, irrationality, and demonism explains the presence of suffering in the world, but it does not justify it. Or maybe suffering has no more justification than life. Was life necessary, or is it rational, purely immanent? Why should we not reconcile ourselves to the final triumph of non-being, to the thought that existence advances toward nothingness and being toward non-being? Isn't non-being the last absolute reality? This is as challenging a paradox as that of the world. Although suffering moves me and sometimes even delights me, never could I write the apology of suffering, because long-lasting suffering, and all genuine suffering is long-lasting, though purifying in its first phases, enhances the reason, dulls the senses, and finally destroys. Facile enthusiasm for suffering is professed only by states and dilettantes of suffering, those who mistake it for entertainment and who do not understand that there is in suffering both poison, a formidable destructive energy, and a rich fertility, dearly paid for. To have the monopoly of suffering is to live suspended above the abyss. All suffering is an abyss. Those who maintain that suicide is an assertion of life are cowards. They invent explanations and excuses to mask their impotence and lack of daring. For in fact there can be no willed or rational decision to commit suicide, only organic, secret causes which predetermine it. Those who commit suicide have a pathological attraction for death, which they try to resist consciously, but which they cannot totally suppress. Life in them is so unbalanced that no rational argument could set it right. There are no irrational suicides. Following to a logical conclusion of meditation on nothingness and the futility of life. If one argues that there were wise men in antiquity who committed suicide in solitude, I reply that they could do so only because they had already stifled life in themselves. To meditate on death and on similar dangerous topics is to deal life a mortal blow, for the mind contemplating so many agonizing questions must already have been wounded. No one commits suicide for external reasons, only because of inner disequilibrium. Under similar adverse circumstances, some are indifferent, some are moved, some are driven to suicide. To be obsessed with suicide, there must be such inner agony that all self-imposed barriers break and nothing is left but a catastrophic dizziness, a strange and powerful whirlwind. How could suicide be an assertion of life? They say that it is caused by disappointments, which implies that you have desired life, that you had expectations which it did not fulfill. A false dialectic, as if the suicide did not live before he died, did not have hopes, ambitions, pain. Essential to suicide is the belief that you can no longer live. not because of whim, but because of a terrifying inner atrocity. Is the inability life and assertion of life? Any suicide is impressive. So I wonder why people still look for reasons and justifications. Why they even deprecate it. Nothing is more ridiculous than to make a hierarchy of suicides and divide them between the noble and the vulgar. Taking one's life is sufficiently impressive to forestall any petty hunt for motives. I despise those who scoff at suicides committed for love, because they do not understand that to the lover unfulfilled love is the cancellation of his being, a destructive plunge into meaninglessness, and realized passions lead to death faster than great failures. Great failures are the slow agony, but great passions that are thwarted kill like a bolt of lightning. I admire only two types of people, the potentially mad and the potential suicide. Only they inspire me with awe, because only they are capable of great passions and great spiritual transfigurations. Those who live positively, full of self-assurance, content with their past, present, and future, have only my respect. Why don't I commit suicide? Because I am as sick of death as I am of life, and should be cast into a flaming cauldron. Why am I on this earth? I feel the need to cry out, to utter a savage scream that will set the world a-tremble with dread. I am like a lightning bolt, ready to set the world ablaze and swallow it all in the flames of my nothingness. I am the most monstrous being in history, the beast of the apocalypse, full of fire and darkness, of aspirations and despair. I am the beast with a contorted grain contracting down to illusion and dilating toward infinity, both growing and dying, delightfully suspended between hope for nothing and despair of everything, brought up among perfumes and poisons, consumed with love and hatred, killed by lights and shadows. My symbol is the death of light and the flame of death. Sparks die in me only to be reborn as thunder and lightning. Darkness itself glows in me.